Welcome to Cornhusker Counseling, the morning after. Another Husker victory.
Hey.
3-0.
We will take that.
It feels weird, right?
3-0, yeah.
Like weird but good.
Weird but good.
Like Jared.
Yeah. I'm around. You feel weird, but I make you feel good.
Yeah.
You know?
At least now.
You get a little unsettled around me, but listen, you just got to get to know me, okay? Just get to know me.
Get to know this team.
Yeah, get to know this team. I think a lot of Husker fans, they're getting to know this team, and they're starting to fall in love with this team. They're starting to fall in love, just like people do with me.
Well,
They do that?
You
Yeah.
love me. You love me.
I tolerate. I tolerate.
All right. So for those who aren't aware, Cornhusker Counseling is where you, Husker fan, emotionally attached, for better or for worse. We talk about triumphs. We talk about tragedies. Like we alluded to before, the past couple weeks have been largely triumphs with just little sprinkles of tragedy and
Sprinkles.
trauma.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is another week where if you are a Husker fan, you cancel your therapy appointment once again, and your counselor is hurting for money because you're just not showing up for your appointments. But I figure, guys, we're coming off a 34-3 victory over UNI, not NIU, not NIU.
Why do you look at me when you do that?
Well, I gotta look at both of you. You both did this
Yeah,
last week.
we've both done this.
I'm the only one that respect the opponent enough to call them UNI. All right?
That's true. Now, okay, so Mike, just going into this game, I know you're still sharing our video.
Yeah.
I'm
Go-
not supposed to be on there. There you go.
Going into
Sorry.
this game, Mike, do you recall what our biggest worry going into this game was?
Oh,
Do you recall? It wasn't even really about the opponent, right?
I think it was just like not make sure it's not like a letdown game type
Yep.
thing. Like
Yeah.
you rode the highs of the highs with
Mhm.
Colorado, and it's like, okay, just do not trip against an opponent that is inferior
Mhm.
and they're well coached, and you want to make sure that this is not a letdown game. It's not a trap game.
Mm-hmm. And we talked with Northern Iowa's play-by-play man,
Was that RJ Cox, I believe?
JW.
JW Cox.
JW.
Not RJ. Oof.
Yeah, JW Cox. And he had said that this game was going to be kind of a slog on their part. They're going to try to hold on to the ball as much as possible. And their first possession, they had the ball for 10 minutes.
That was wild.
It was absurd. It ate up the rest of the first quarter after that first
Yes.
Husker drive.
That
Yeah.
was just great coaching.
Yeah.
That was fantastic coaching. That was part of their plan. And we even
Mhm.
said that, I think, last week, was like, they're going to try to just keep the ball away from Dylan Raiola.
Mhm.
And they did that. They executed their plan perfectly. The problem was their defense couldn't cover a cough.
No, yeah, that was a big problem for them. But yeah, I mean, the time of possession tactic, it worked.
Yes.
It was frustrating on that first drive for UNI, not NIU. It was frustrating because it felt like there were so many chances to get that defense off the field, and they just kept finding a way.
And I do have this under a triumph because going into this, we were worried about a potential hangover. And you see this 10-minute drive, and you're sitting there in the stands or you're watching from your television, and Nebraska is up 7-0 after all, but they are methodically moving down the field. The Panthers are. And so you're kind of worried, is the defense going to let down? Are they going to allow a score here? They might be getting a little tired. They're not getting off the field. I have this under a triumph because 2 years ago, they probably give up a touchdown.
Oh,
And it's a
100%.
tie game.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, could it be a little bit of a hangover from the previous week? Yes, I suppose. But they bent a little, but they didn't break. Just gave up a field goal. So that's a triumph in my book.
I agree. I mean, there was the bend, don't break. Like they did bend, they didn't break. I mean, those 3 points are all we gave up all game. We also look at Jamari Butler, not out there at the time.
Yeah.
So while I don't think Jamari Butler changes this whole drive, like everything is totally different if he's out there, it is a huge impact because you look at the chemistry on that D line. You look at maybe we don't have as much pressure. So I think that was a big factor, at least on that first drive, and they kind of figured it out as it went down.
Well, and you say, yeah, Jamari wasn't there, but I noticed throughout the game, and I was talking to Jared in the stadium about it, it was like the amount of rotation was even extra. Like this staff is known for playing a lot of guys on defense, but you could tell throughout the game, like I don't want to say they weren't taking their opponent serious because I don't think that's the case at all. But I think it was to a point where they knew they were playing you and I. They knew guys could get rest, and they were rotating early and often.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't, like I said before we started, like they didn't push all their chips in.
No.
It's going to be a short week this week. Like, let's try to get some other dudes in the rotation similar to UTEP. Let's get these guys playing time. But another triumph I'll talk about. After all, Nebraska goes up 7-0 in a large part. Listen, you see some Carter Nelson out there.
Yeah.
Triumph.
Yes,
Let's go. He's a guy that you see and you're like, I love the way he moves. He looks good with the ball in his hand. He's going down the middle of the field. We like that with our tight ends.
Yeah, although he is a wide receiver right now.
Yeah.
He is a wide receiver. We did have a comment in the chat from Big Red Boss on YouTube. He said that 10-minute drive was kind of embarrassing, not going to lie. I think there's a little bit of that throughout the game, but at the end of the day, we held them to 3 points.
Yeah.
We shut down their dominant rushing game.
Dominant.
I mean, we did.
For them,
Yes,
it was.
for them.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, their standards. But, I mean, just touching more on Carter Nelson.
He's good.
Yeah.
I was facing away from the TV and I heard Carter Nelson's name come up and I flipped around and ran back into my living room to go see what was going on. That man is electric. I love it. And I'm very excited. If he can do that and repeat this throughout the season, Carter Nelson's going to be a name you're going to hear a lot.
Yeah. Imagine when they actually put like weight on him and he's not just like a tiny skinny guy that played 8-man football for Ainsworth, Nebraska. Like he moves the part already. But if you actually put a little meat and potatoes, put a little bit on that guy and make him look like an actual tight end, I think it'll be pretty cool.
I'm thinking about the opponents going forward. You're playing Big Ten teams.
Yes.
I want to see him go vertical more. That's going to be very important. Just when you play these teams that have better defenses, you're probably not going to have your Jamal Banks or Isaiah Nayers as wide open as they kind of have been with these first three opponents. Can we take advantage of those corners being good and taking advantage of a guy streaking down the middle of the field? And that's where Carter Nelson comes in. Perhaps that's where Fedoni shows up.
Or Borgature. Like we did that against
saw that
Colorado.
with Borgature.
Yes.
Yep.
It's just kind of weird. We said this earlier in the year, and we didn't want to overreact, but it's like, why is Thomas Fedoni only running left and right? We need this guy running vertical. We need him to control the middle of the field, just like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some people say, hey, like it's too early. Don't talk bad about Satterfield and his play calling. They're going to utilize Fedoni the right way.
Yeah.
We saw it again on Saturday, left and right with Fedoni. He almost got in. He got a little creative over by that pylon, but
yeah,
I'd like to see Big 24 going north and south.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it once again on Saturday. Him moving left and right. It looks wonky. It just does.
It's especially concerning again when we talk about lateral movement with those knees, man. Like, just give him a straight line. Give him like any sort of route that, again, let's go north and south.
Yeah.
Let's not try and get funky here. I'm sure Fedoni is feeling good. I'm sure those knees are well enough for the team's letting him in there, but north and south, please.
Yeah, and look, we're trying to stick with triumphs of the game.
Yeah.
Sure,
yes,
sure,
but
sure.
no, but
It's so hard though, because there's a caveat. If you want to say that triumph,
it's all. I know it's all. There's always like lanes we go down and rabbit holes we go down. And then like last year, when you think of Fedoni and how the quarterback was not exactly putting the ball in the best positions for Fedoni to get yak yards because he's going like this. And sorry for those not watching. Going up and reaching and jumping or trying to go down low or like you're moving weird. But now this year it's going left and right and east and west and he's still having to make a turn. It's like, I want to see Fedoni just get a full head of steam.
Yes.
Off to the races.
That's just me, baby. I want to see that horse go.
And that would be a triumph. Once they start utilizing Fedoni the right way, that's going to be a huge triumph for this team.
Absolutely. So I have a triumph.
Okay.
I might be on your list.
Okay.
Let me know if it is.
Let's see.
Tristan Alvano made field goals.
Is that on your list?
Oh, is it on my
Of
list?
course it is, right?
2 for 2, baby.
Yeah.
2 for 2.
And that was, I think, the highlight of my week. It was just, I finally wasn't concerned. I was the first time. The second time I lied to myself. And going into next week, I'm going to lie to myself again. But Tristan Alvano made field goals, and I am happy.
Well, and you saw on that the first time they were at 4th and 3, and this is after scoring on the first 3 drives or whatever it was, and they had the opportunity to take the points.
Like a 40.
They went for it. Yeah, it was like a 40-some yarder. And
Yeah.
I was sitting in the stands, and I was like, I want Tristan to kick that.
Yeah, I do too.
I want him to get whatever that monkey is on his back. I want it off in this game. And they did a little bit. They got him some easy ones, which is nice because I think he needs that for his mental psyche.
Hey, we say that they're bunnies.
Yes.
But sometimes they're not bunnies.
They have not been bunnies.
Right.
And so I personally would have liked them to have him kick that 40-plus yarder just to build confidence. But later in the game, he did get the 2 afterwards. So it's fine.
Now you say, and I agree with you, I wish they would have tried for that 40-ish yarder. But then you think of, what if he missed
it and then he misses the other 2?
And then it's
then I get it.
Unraveling again. But you can't not kick field goals, guys. You cannot operate this way. You can't do it in Big Ten play coming up. You can't do it. You can't be scared to kick a 40-yard field goal. You're going to lose games.
No fear of failure.
I agree. I will tell you.
Listen, I love that concept of no fear of failure. It was supposed to work with the other guy, but anyway, didn't. We don't need to relitigate that.
I will tell you, when we lined up to go for it on 4th, I believe I said something along the lines of like, no way they're actually going for this. And they did.
They did.
I was very excited because I like that just pressure. Put it on right away. And I will not compare this to the Scott Bleep onside kick. Totally different situation. But I did kind of like it. And I think part of that was, my concern about like, can Alvano make this kick? Like, why not just go ahead and try and trust Dylan Raiola in this offense?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. I think they've said that they have no restrictions on Mr. Dylan Raiola. They have no restrictions. They are going to ball out with him, and they do not care. They don't care that he's a freshman. They don't care that this is only his third. They do not care. They are going to put all the chips on the table when it comes to the running that offense.
Yeah, and I mean, I have that as a triumph. Just I think Raiola in general, he's top 10 in the country right now in completion percentage. You might have seen that stat going around that he's the first freshman since Marcus Mariota to have over 70% completion percentage in his first 3 games.
That Mariota guy had a good college career, right?
He's pretty good.
He was pretty good.
I think he did this once. Yeah. Hopefully you're watching. I'm doing a Heisman pose. I would love that for our guy.
Yeah, that would be cool. But
I just Raiola in general, just another positive. Yes, you had the turnover at the end there. The interception.
But that was just a play.
Yeah.
That's one of those where you see it on the stat line and you're like, oh God, he threw an interception. You watch the game, it's like, I have it under a trauma. We can probably get into it a little bit more. But just overall, his composure just continues to be what you'd like to see from a true freshman quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. The moment is never too big for him.
And the coaching staff obviously has confidence in him to, hey, let's run our offense. Okay. Except when we get to 4th and 3 and we got to kick a 4-yard field goal. Okay, sorry, I don't want to get into traumas yet.
Don't get into traumas.
No traumas.
We've got 15
I'm so
more
used
minutes.
To talk about traumas, but
we've got 15 more minutes of triumph.
Okay.
A weird question. We talked about this. So this is a weird way to look at a triumph, and I'm framing this mostly for myself. This turnover against UNI. We talked about in week 1 how we would like, if there's going to be mistakes made, we want it done against an opponent like UTEP.
Right.
Yeah.
UNI is another game like that. Mm-hmm. Getting that interception out of the way. I mean, having that happen, like, let's say we go into week 8 and God forbid, he hasn't done anything like that yet. And he has it against Ohio State and the crowd is loud and the lights are bright. Like, is it easier for him to get out of the way here? I think so. So in a weird way, that turnover, especially in a game where it's, 34-3, kind of a triumph.
Yeah, at the time, I think it was 24-3. Yeah. And it's like, if you're going to have it happen, do it now.
Exactly.
Just get it over with.
You're not going to have a 0 there all year.
No.
I know when you see it and it actually happens, it's like, damn. And I know Rule was like really fighting extra hard to get that 1 taken off the board on that interception part. But just, get it out the way. 24-3. Like,
And he recovered just fine.
I mean, that defender made an absolute baller play.
Yeah.
So
you can't
what
be
do you
mad.
do? There's some times where you just got to tip your cap, and that's one of those ones that Dylan underthrew the ball.
He did.
He underthrew the ball. He said in his press conference he underthrew the ball.
Yep.
Sure.
That's on him. But on the flip side, Jalen Lloyd almost came down with it, and that other guy, he wanted it more. So what do? Sometimes you just tip your cap and you move on.
Yeah.
And that's the type of INT. Out of all the interceptions that Dylan has, that's probably going to be the one that he's like, well, I mean, what are the odds that that ball doesn't hit the ground, you know?
Yeah.
At least it
How
wasn't.
did Jalen not catch that? There's just so many things that could have happened on that catch and that play. If that's your first interception as a college football player, oh, you poor thing, right?
Yeah.
You didn't just throw it straight to the Mike linebacker and watch him run it back or anything like that. No, it's like a.
You didn't Tanner Lee NIU.
Oh my gosh, that is NIU. There you go.
Yes, I know. That's why I
that's
paused for. I'm like, okay, I got to get these acronyms right. Okay, another triumph. We talked about Carter Nelson. Give me the ball, and my name is Ja'Cory Barney.
Yes, and we do have a comment in the chat about Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah,
They said, Big Red, we'll say bass or bass, whatever. He said, I was excited about Ja'Cory. His joy for the game reminds me of Tominaga. Okay. I hope that he gets to that level of Tominaga where the excitement is totally around this guy and you know that it's just must-watch TV.
Well, yeah, but I think I see what Big Red Bass Bass, again, I don't know.
Hey, clarify that for us,
yeah,
Big Red
please.
Bass Bass.
Bass bass, is it like
Bass
the
fish?
Are you slapping it?
like the guitar, or is it like
But I think I see what they're saying with, the love of the game reminds me of Tominaga, because Ja'Cory Barney just genuinely loves being out there. And it was like the same thing when you watch Tominaga. That man was having the time of his life every game. Didn't matter the result, just having fun. And I would 100% agree that that's what I see with Ja'Cory Barney. And it helps that he's also really good.
Really fast.
It helps, probably helps him enjoy it more. But yeah, I get that.
it was fun to see him get in the end zone too.
Yeah, and
it was incredible.
And get his head about taken off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
5
saw
yards
that.
into the end
I
zone.
know.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like he's one of those where you flick him and he goes flying.
Yeah.
But you got to catch him first. Right?
Yes.
And we talk about the joy of the game. What's going to help him have more joy in the game? Giving him the ball more and letting him cook.
He did cook.
Absolutely.
I'm a fisherman. Yeah, it's
So
confusing.
bass. Okay.
It is bass. Big red bass. Thanks for tuning in.
And his picture's probably a fish or something.
No, it's just an N.
Okay, I was gonna say, if
Okay.
it's a fish and you didn't point that out immediately,
it's just a Husker N. So
Okay.
that is fair.
So, hey, Ja'Cory Barney, first touchdown. We've always talked about how it seems like every time he touches the ball, it's like at least 7 yards or gets taken back because of a holding penalty. So did that happen again? I feel like that happened one more time, that there was another penalty that got taken back. But maybe there wasn't. Maybe there wasn't.
It was overturned. It was the
right.
It was the play that the ball wasn't beyond the line of scrimmage thing.
That's right.
And that wasn't offensive pass interference. It was holding.
Yeah, it was.
If they would have just called holding, it would have been fine. But they called OPI, which was a terrible call.
Yeah, I was very confused watching that.
Yeah, everybody I think was confused, especially in the stadium where we don't have like the luxury of hearing what people are talking about.
Nobody knows.
So we're sitting there. I'm watching the replay on the Jumbotron. I'm like,
you didn't want to hear Gene?
no, I don't care. That guy. It's just the way that he was crossing the field apparently was on the line of scrimmage. I think that was one of those stands type calls. It was like, how can you overturn that?
I will tell you, watching the TV broadcast, I don't think the call should have been overturned anyway.
Yeah.
Like, they had called it OPI, and like the whole technicality was based on where the ball was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was very confusing, but I was watching it over and over and over, and I was like, I don't think you can overturn this.
We got a first
They
down.
did.
Yeah.
They did overturn it.
That's a triumph.
Yeah,
That's
that is a triumph right there.
Yep.
Thank you,
Count
the
it.
officiating crew. For the first time this season and maybe the last, I will say thank you to the officiating crew.
Every time a call goes the right way for the red team, we say,
Thank
we
you.
love refs. The refs are the best.
The best refs I've ever
The
seen.
best refs I've ever
refs.
seen. And if it doesn't go our way, then they're the worst. Then they should die.
They should die.
Hey,
That was a quick switch.
Hey, no, the last referee,
They
he got Player of the Week,
oh God.
National Player of the Week.
Is that Matt
Yes.
McCabe?
Yeah,
His stats were unbelievable.
he was so good.
He was prolific.
And then we saw him follow up his performance in the Kansas game on Friday. So
Nice.
that was a treat too.
hard to watch.
He is honestly, he's on a pace right now where he could win the Heisman equivalent for a referee.
Yeah. Now we'll see him in the playoffs, I'm sure.
So is that pose just like he's holding the whistle to his mouth? Like, what does that pose look like? I don't know.
It's throwing the flag
Yeah,
right up
just-
here.
yellow ink.
Did you? Oh, remember we were in the stadium and that the ref threw that flag, and he's like, "You got an arm on him."
Yeah.
Dude slinged it 20
Oh, yeah?
yards.
Listen, if you're gonna throw it,
Throw
might as
it.
well show off, I guess.
That was that PI call, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Another triumph kind of goes along with the Ja'Cory Barney thing is when we talk about DR, true freshman, we talked surrounding him with a lot of weapons.
Sure.
Okay. And if you look down the stat line, I mean, he's got freaking 30 different targets. It's a long stat line. Okay. There's a lot of dudes, a lot of possibilities to go to, a lot of weapons. The opponent, at least through the first 3 games, I mean, it's hard to key on like one person because, hey, it could be Carter Nelson. It could be Ja'Cory Barney. We got Dante Dowdell establishing some physicality. We have maybe Ramir Johnson. Who knows about Emma Johnson? Listen, Isaiah Nair streaking down the field. Who are you going to key on? So I think that's kind of another possibility. It could be a concern going forward. We'll talk about that more. But so far through the first 3 games, it's hard for an opponent to really key on somebody because there's just a lot of dudes.
Well, who did Matt Rule say he wanted this offense to look like? He wanted this to
The
look like
Niners.
the Niners, the Kyle Shanahans of the world. And what is one thing the 49ers have on offense? Weapons.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of that thing that he was saying. I mean, it's coming true. He's got a lot of options. And for a young quarterback to have that many weapons, it's not a bad problem to have.
So I'm looking right now on for receiving. There were 10 unique receivers in that game last night, and for rushing, there were 8. I mean, you talk about how do you game plan for 10 receivers or 10 guys getting passes, 8 guys getting the ball on the ground? How do you plan for that?
Yeah,
a lot of toys to play with.
Yeah,
even when you bring in big number 10, is that on your list?
yeah.
So
I mean,
Yeah, I do have it on my list. He is quarterback 2.
he's QB2.
He's QB2.
Yes.
In case people forgot, I see him go in for a few plays, and on one hand, I'm like, all right, this is another thing that defenses need to key on and prepare for during the week. But on the other, I'm like, hey, all it takes is one stupid blow to the head to F all that up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that just shows how confident he is with the guys behind him. I think when you've got a guy, what's his name from the NAIA level?
Jalen Gramstad.
When you've got Gramstad back there who has won the Heisman equivalent in NAIA, I think it's one of those things like we can play with it. We don't want Heinrich to get hurt, but I think it goes back to Matt Rule. He's all in. Like he doesn't care. He's not scared.
Can't play scared.
He's not playing scared.
Yeah.
And I loved what his comment was in the press conference. He said, well, you know what? I run Heinrich out there. He catches the ball. He runs the ball out of the backfield. That's 20 more minutes that they're not preparing for that other things. They have to dial in and look at that stuff when they're scouting us. Yeah. Is if number 10's on the field, that's one more thing they have to prepare for. And that's 20 less minutes they can prepare for all the other things that we're going to do to them. So I love the answer because I asked you in the stadium, I was like, is this gimmicky?
And I said, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like, is he a better ball catcher when he's coming out of the backfield? Is he a better ball catcher than Ramir? Probably not. Is he a better
tight end than some of the dudes we've got?
No, probably not.
You wouldn't think.
Right.
I hope not.
I'd hope not, right? Is he? Yeah. And then the Wildcat thing, that still has not worked. I think we've gained 2 yards in the 2 times we ran, or 3 times, whatever it is.
No, it doesn't look. I mean, it's kind of wonky, but
whatever.
It's like why is Heinrich Harburg going more north to south than some of our other tight ends that we've got?
Interesting.
You know, it just makes you think a little.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
Okay, another triumph. Okay, you what?
Oh, I have a quick triumph.
Yeah.
Very short, and it's just because I'm looking through the box score right now. I mentioned that we had 10 unique receivers last night.
Yes.
7 of them averaged 10 yards a catch or more.
That's nice.
7 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, you can talk about the amount of catches they got.
Right.
Carter Nelson actually had the most receptions of anybody in the entire game with 4.
Yeah.
Most of those on that first drive. He had like 2 boom boom.
Yeah, but having 7 of those guys out of 10 above 10 yards per catch is very reassuring. It's been a long time since we've had a quarterback, I think, that could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we can give credit to the playmakers themselves, right? But then you also give credit to the dude giving them the ball.
Or you give credit to the guy calling the plays. I
Can
know
I do
it's
all-
hard to do.
Can I do all of that?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
this is the opportunity that we can give Sat a little bit of flowers. Just a little bit.
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
I think he's called, I will say, 1.5 good games in the last 2 games. So
I was going to say he's called 2.5 really good games.
Yeah, I guess 2.5 good games.
Yeah.
So even in the second half, I think I like the way they handled the clock. I think that they balanced that better than they did against Colorado.
Okay. Another triumph. Dowdell and Emmett Johnson. Okay. Dowdell, 6 carries, 55 yards. Emmett, 4 carries for 50 yards. Not a lot of volume, but when they got the ball, they were very effective.
Yep.
We talk about Emmett Johnson, how he's able to get skinny.
Oh, yeah.
Get skinny.
Yeah.
But he's a little wiggly guy.
Gabe is not that guy.
Gabe is the 4th running back.
Yes, I think that is 100% clear.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll need him later in the year with
We will.
injuries and stuff.
Listen,
but
we will.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure
gosh,
we will.
I just think that is the most convincing RB4 right now is the guy that just and some of it's not his fault. Like the O-line, I feel like anytime 22's on the field, they do not block. They don't.
Yeah, what did he say to them?
I don't know. Did he do something to them?
I
Like
don't know, man.
every time he comes on the field, the O-line just has like brainworms. It's insane.
Every time he comes in, he just gets blasted. It's like, dude, poor guy.
I feel bad for him.
But I mean, it's pretty clear again that Dowdell's your number 1. Okay. They like to establish him early, establish physicality. The main running play is run through a MFer's face.
Yes.
Right. And he does that. So I like that. I wish he would get more than 6 carries, especially as the second half kind of goes on and you're trying to kill clock.
I think they were just trying to keep guys healthy.
Yep.
And get into conference play. I think that's why the rotation just in general on offense, like Alex Bullock played a lot, even in the first half, he came in quite a bit. I think that just shows you like they wanted to protect their guys. I got a comment in here about where's Banks been after week 1. I think that was designed. I think in Colorado, he had a couple catches against Colorado, but
And look, you got Travis Hunter out there.
Yeah.
Who Travis Hunter is a good player.
yes, exactly.
So
So I think they are just trying to keep the guys healthy because conference play starts on Friday.
And I think you're going to need a guy like Banks more so going forward than you've needed in the past 3 games.
Absolutely.
Like if Banks does not start to kind of emerge as we go forward, then we can be like, all right, what's going on here?
I mean, we saw what he did against UTEP. That dude, that catch that he made against
Yeah.
UTEP, that's going to be there.
Big body.
I'm telling you, he's a big body receiver, and I think Nair is sometimes gets a little bit more targets just because I think that's Gillen's safety blanket. He's what we thought Fedoni would be. I think that Nair is his guy. Like if he needs 4 yards, he's gonna go find Nair.
Mhm.
Yeah, doesn't matter if he's covered. He's gonna throw it to him.
Yeah. Okay. Just lastly on the triumphs, notice how we didn't talk a whole lot about the defense, but I figure, we shout out Malcolm Hartzog for getting an interception.
Yeah, that was a good play.
And we shout out Isaac Gifford. I think Isaac Gifford had a very good game. He came up, he had to make a lot of tackles.
Yes.
You'll probably explain why he had to do that. But he's a solid tackler, and that showed.
Yeah, that was his
Last
best
night.
game that he's played this year.
Yeah.
By far. Especially with all the quarterback run game. Like he was
He was on top of it.
I mean, he was playing Rover the entire time chasing down that quarterback. So
Mhm. Okay, so trauma. This is where we nitpick a 31-point victory, and we talk about our trauma.
this is the trauma portion of Cornhusker counseling.
Yeah.
So I'm driving home from the game, and Trevor, our buddy, asks, so, like, what word comes to mind about this game? And the first, maybe this is problematic, but the first word I thought of was leaky.
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 Please explain what
Yeah,
leaky
'cause
means.
I have another L word, but it wasn't that one.
Was it lame?
Thank God it's not
It was-
loss.
It was lackluster.
Lackluster? Okay, that's yeah.
Well, okay, so leaky. A lot of hidden, I guess we call it hidden yardage, but they gained it. The UNI offense, because the tackling was lackluster. There was just a lot of squirting through. There was a lot of missed tackles. Now, there weren't many big plays they allowed.
No.
No.
Okay. But there was just a lot of, he gained an extra 3 yards here. He gained an extra 2 yards here when it didn't need to be that way. And we could talk about how Jamari Butler was out.
and Mekhi Bayer didn't play in the first half.
Yeah.
That defense is totally different when 42 is on the field. I'm just telling you, everything, the tone. He was playing with the backups in the second half, and just everything he does is just fiery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That it was completely different than when Thompson was on the field.
Stephon Thompson. And my brother texted me during the game. First of all, we couldn't send text anywhere because there was no cell service.
Well, there's no Wi-Fi anymore, so
I thought you guys were just ignoring me.
No. I mean, I could, but you have cellular, so you don't have cellular.
Anyway,
yes.
My brother's like, the black shirts are sucking butt tonight. And I'm like, look, they're not playing that bad, but it is noticeable that the tackling, which has been a strength of this Matt Rule, Tony White team up to this point, it was noticeable that it was lacking last night.
I think I made the comment. I don't know if you guys read through. Kyle and I were talking. Kyle is not here today.
He's in Vegas.
Yeah, Kyle's in
on
Vegas.
His way back from Vegas.
Yeah. So we miss you, Kyle. But Kyle and I were talking in our group chat, and I talked about it's like this tackling feels like it's a Mike Riley era or a Scott Bleep era tackling. Yeah. It's just that we were throwing shoulders. We weren't wrapping up.
They kept trying to strip the ball constantly. Yeah. I mean, almost 10 times it felt like that they were just and they almost got the ball out multiple times, but they never got it out.
Yeah.
But the ball was always moving.
like Jared mentioned, it felt like almost every other play, especially on that first drive, that every play was like an extra 2 or 3 or 4 yards that we did not have to give up if we would just tackled like we have been. It was really odd.
And it's okay going into this game. J.W. Cox, who we talked to, I had called them a baby Big Ten team because you're getting a different look from this team than you've seen from Colorado.
Sure.
Like to spread you out. UTEP likes to spread you out. These guys like to run the ball, albeit it's not in like a traditional I formation, old school smash mouth type of way. There's a lot of quarterback run game, a lot of bootlegs that were happening. But you look at how they tackle against this team that is not better than you. Yeah, they are FCS level for a reason. Okay, they're just not as good as you. But you're still allowing these leaky things. And so you go forward in a Big Ten play, you're going to be playing Illinois, Big Bert's boys. And so you're just kind of like, are they going to be able to wrap up? You know Illinois is going to try to run the ball, okay? They're not fancy. You know Rutgers isn't fancy. They're probably watching this UNI performance, and they're going, well, there might be something here.
Yeah, Altmaier's going to have some running lanes here and here. And we'll see.
So I guess it might go on.
I think that the defense, even going into the second half, they played a lot better in the second half. Tackling was a lot better in the second half. I think they've set a standard just given how they play under Tony White in the Matt Rule era so far.
Yeah.
And they know that wasn't up to their standard.
Yeah, they know. They know.
And I think this is that type of game. Like we said, it could have been a trap game. I think it was tough to get up for this game after the highest of the high against beating Colorado, who won yesterday, which kind of sucks. But it's one of those things. It's like, I just don't think that they were, even though the crowd was kind of there, it was fine.
It was fine.
But the team played the same way the crowd did. It was just, it was fine. It wasn't electric.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It was winning football. That was it, though.
And, okay, go on. I thought you had something.
Yeah. No, you're good. Mike actually covered exactly what I wanted.
Okay. And Mike, you alluded to a lot of rotation. There's a lot of dudes coming in. It's, okay, who the heck is that? I don't know who that is. I got to go to my roster.
Yeah. 99. Who's 99? Right. That's Ty Robinson. Like, who is that?
Jamari's out. It's like there was just a lot of things happening, and so that probably factored into the inconsistency.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about the running back. Actually, so Ty Edwards, who was supposed to be kind of their stud running back, 10 carries for 37 yards. Now, again, we expected a old school run through your face Ty Edwards, but that just didn't happen. Like there was no big plays. So yes, we are kind of shining light on this leaky thing.
Yes.
Because we're trying to nitpick. We're trying to find stuff to get better at. But just their traditional run game with their very good running back did not yield much of anything.
This type of game is perfect for a team like Nebraska, though, who is 3-0. And there is still so much coachable stuff on tape that I think that is exactly what you want. If we would have just beat the brakes off of UNI or whatever, maybe they come in with too big of a head against Illinois. But there is so many coachable moments on tape from UNI.
Yeah.
Especially getting ready for a team like Illinois, who's going to do the same type of stuff that they just saw. It's going to be pound the rock right at you, play action pass, get the quarterback in the run game a little bit. They're going to do that to you. So you just saw like a mini version of that, and you saw on tape how mediocre you played against it. I don't want to say bad because we held them 3 points.
Right.
But you didn't play up to your standard against that. And I think that is perfect for a team like this who has won all their games, but they're able to still coach them up on this because they're like, hey, like you had 20 missed tackles that game.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
So,
yeah.
One thing, it's really weird to say is we sit here and talk about like this game doesn't feel like we lived up to our standards. We did cover. We covered the Vegas line.
We did
by a half point, weirdly enough. But Mike, you talk about Jared. You brought up, 99 comes in. I got to go to my roster.
Yeah.
Weird, like that's a triumph. And I know we're under the trauma section.
Yeah.
But there's a quote that I'm sure Mike is going to love back from when Peyton Manning was still an Indianapolis Colt.
Go.
And one of the assistant coaches walked up and said, why aren't our backup guys getting reps? Because if 18 goes down, we are screwed. And we are not practicing screwed. What Matt Rule has done very well in these first 3 games is we are practicing screwed.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
You can. All right. I want to shout out Keona Davis, 97. He got a lot of snaps.
Minus that penalty he got.
Which one was that?
He got the late hit out of bounds.
All right.
And it was one of those things like he was riding him and then like he just kept going.
So
and
dumb.
It was
I forgive you, Keona.
Yeah,
Davis.
I forgive him for that.
But going into this game, we had been glazing the black shirts. They're the greatest defense of all time. This is Charlie McBride's boys. It's 1993 era Trev Alberts out there. They needed a game like this, to your point, Mike. They needed a game like this to kind of sober them up a little bit.
Yeah.
From the Kool-Aid that we've been giving them and from the Kool-Aid that we've been drinking ourselves.
Yes.
They needed a game like this, a stylistic difference. They had to play against a different style. They needed to struggle a little bit to bring them back down to earth. Coming up. And I think this was good to get this out of the way.
That's how I feel about it. Matt in the comments said, everyone take a Tums and take a deep breath. I get what you're saying, and it's a weird game. You say
now,
leaky. It's a weird game, though.
I don't mean to be mean. Okay, this dude who commented, who is it?
Matt. He's just on Twitter.
Okay, Matt, listen. You probably started watching a minute ago, okay?
We talked the first 30 minutes of the show was us talking about all the good things.
We're acknowledging that these are nitpicks.
Yes.
We know that if you've been watching,
game. Yes.
We have acknowledged this like 5 times. You don't need to tell us to take a Tums.
I took my
bro.
my Prilosec to see this morning.
Yes,
we're good.
Would we be good counselors if we only focused on the positives and not the things that we can change to make our lives better?
We're counseling you on the highs and the lows.
That's right.
Exactly.
And trying to just keep you level-headed. All right? That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
It's Cornhusker Counseling here at Her Dad Sports Bar and Grill in La Vista, Nebraska. We get this hour from 11 to 12.
Yeah.
And then we're back to No Block, No Rock tomorrow.
We need that,
baby.
We need that quick read that's like, we are not licensed counselors. Please do not listen to any medical advice. No prescription pads available. We need that just right there.
It's kind of like the beginning of Impractical Jokers, like, warning, this is...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do not perform these stunts.
Do not. Yeah.
Okay. So the offense, I guess a little bit of trauma. They get off to a very strong start, very efficient start. And it's just kind of a meh finish. Yeah. I was thinking you guys have played Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Finish him.
You know, you're punching old boy in the face and he's doing this. Right?
He's on the ropes.
He's doing this thing. And so this is what you and I was doing. And they just kept kind of doing this. You didn't rip out their spine. You didn't do the whole like grab their heart and take a bite out of it kind of thing. You know, there was no finish him. There was no like finishing move. I think the Jalen Lloyd play that ended up being an interception was probably an attempt to rip their heart out and eat it and stomp on it. But there was just no finish him.
Emmett kind of did, though. That run at the end there to cover. Great teams cover. Just a reminder, boys.
Yep.
Great teams cover in that goal line stand. That's a triumph. Great teams cover. So I would say, yes, I'm with you. They went for the kill shot. It didn't happen. But they got like a little one. That Emmett run was
I want
good.
another one. I want another kill shot.
So maybe I'm crazy, but it feels like 2 weeks in a row where we just are boring in that second half. Like I know Colorado, we had those 2 big plays called back. arguably could have been a 42-10 game. But it's 2 straight weeks when I'm sitting here looking at the second half and just wanting more. And
Yeah.
not getting it.
Yeah, and it's like
We're
do you
getting
feel greedy. Yeah,
We're getting greedy.
We won by 31. I can't
this
be.
team hasn't made a bowl game since 2016, guys.
We won 5 games last year,
Yeah.
and we're sitting here, and I'm mad that we're not winning by more than 31.
Let's
I
just
want
chill.
42.
Vegas always
chilling.
knows, though. Isn't it weird that Vegas always knows?
Yeah.
They do.
They nailed it. We did get a comment in the chat from Dylan. He said, "How would your thoughts change about the defense had you and I scored a touchdown?" Thoughts? Love the podcast, boys. Shout out, Dylan. Thanks for listening.
Well,
I don't know if it changes. I don't know if he's talking particularly about that last second touchdown. If it would change anything.
Yeah.
I just think it's that type of game, even against UTEP, where we just dominated the entire game, and there wasn't anything just insanely great, but we dominated the game. We were the better team.
They were consistently. Nebraska was consistently a good team.
Yes.
And I know, again, we talked about we won 5 games last year, but I want great. I want great this season. And I think they're on the right track. But as far as, if you're talking about that last second touchdown, if it's garbage time, I don't care.
Yeah.
It does not bother me at all.
The bettors would have cared, though.
Yeah, they would have. They would have cared a lot.
All the degens.
The other thing is on that first drive, as they hold that ball for 10 minutes, if they scored on that one, I would have been upset.
There you go.
It would have ultimately depended on how we responded to that. Having that bend don't break, only allowing the 3 obviously changes things a lot. But if they would have scored on that first drive, frankly, I was expecting it. I expected a touchdown there. So I don't know. It just depends on how the response would go, but it wouldn't have made me too upset. If they scored twice, now I'm very concerned.
We've got a comment from Coach BA. He said, "Is there an offensive trauma?" On the offensive side.
Okay. So offensive trauma.
We're beating on the defense, and they only allowed 3 points.
Okay, so BA, a little bit earlier, we had talked about the continuing Fedoni thing going east and west. We talked about that. We talked about how it was a very strong start, but a kind of meh finish. Another kind of trauma was I had brought up that they have a lot of weapons, okay?
Yep.
And there's a lot of guys to turn to, a lot of targets. Could that be an issue going forward? Could it?
Too many cooks in the kitchen?
Too many cooks in the kitchen? Too many? Could it be that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I see this as sticking with the kitchen, cooks in the kitchen. We have one cook in the kitchen right now, and that's Dylan.
Yeah.
And Dylan Raiola is absolutely cooking, and everybody's eating. I love that. What I see with his weapons, we just got a whole lot of servers. So as long as he just keeps cooking up
that's
here,
a good restaurant analogy.
Yeah, they're just moving it out there. So no, I don't see that to be a trauma.
Okay.
Again, I think if we want to look at an offensive trauma, my only thing again is just the second halves have been meh.
But Matt
that's
Rule
not
even
even like a
said,
trauma.
yeah, he's like, that's sorry, blame me for keeping things boring in the second half and just dominating your opponent.
Yeah,
You went the restaurant route. I thought you would have gone the beer route. Is it a problem that Nebraska Brewing Company has too many good beers?
no, it's a great
my gosh.
thing.
Like they have so many good beers. We have so many good weapons. Like what's the issue?
So I guess I could see the thought that like if you have all of these really talented players, I'm gonna get real deep on this one. It may be tough to go to your progressions because like I know I can move this over here, and it may just be confusing. And this is gonna be a total like speculation here.
Total.
Having this many incredible weapons, do they stay around? If there's so many great players that the ball gets moved around, you're not getting a ton of eyes on you, you're not getting a ton of touches. Are these guys going to stick around because there's so many talented players?
Winning cures all.
Yeah, I mean you're correct.
And here's the thing:
I have to come up with some sort of offensive trauma.
I get
I'm
it, but here's the thing: if you win games, this fan base will continue to contribute.
Yeah.
To 1890, and these guys will get paid to stay here. Ja'Cory Barney, I talked with our producer here before we started the show. He's like, I'm worried about like Jalen Lloyd. Is he going to stick around? If we're not utilizing him enough. I'm like, I'll flip this on you. I'd worry about Ja'Cory Barney. He's a kid from Florida, right? We're utilizing him a lot. If we weren't doing that, he could go back home to Florida, where there's a bunch of really good schools down in the South, and he would be utilized the same way.
Are there any good football teams in Florida right now?
Now we're going on the whole Florida.
Because
are there South?
Is there good teams in Florida right now?
Maybe not.
Hey, you're aware of the derogatory term Florida man whenever there is a crazy story
that was
about
a good beer. You guys need to bring that back.
Oh yeah, we almost got sued over that. I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, you hear the derogatory term Florida man.
Yeah.
This crazy dude's taking bath salts and he's eating people. Well, that's kind of like the Florida college teams down in Florida. They're Florida man, but they're Florida team.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of weird and crazy, and they just can't
And they're
function.
not good. They're not good.
They're not upstanding members of society. These Florida teams, they are dysfunctional.
No.
They are weird. They're going to get guys fired.
I have been investing in paper bags to sell to their fans to put over their heads during these games because I can't imagine they're proud to be there.
Biodegradable,
Hey,
right?
And to be, yes,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, obviously
Yeah.
save the turtles.
We
right?
are environmentally friendly here.
Florida turtle. Yeah.
Yeah, Florida
And
turtles.
before anyone gets too upset about me saying they should put paper bags over their heads, reminder, we are Husker fans. We have been there. This is our time to say,
Suckers.
you should put a
No,
bag over
God,
your
hold
head.
on. Let's make a bowl first.
Yeah.
Redcast Rob said, Dylan is cooking and nobody is getting fat, just eating healthy.
I like that. Yeah.
Well,
That-
they're
that's a
not
good
getting
analogy.
fat because what was the yards per catch? Like 10? They're burning
we
those calories,
We had
man.
7 receivers over 10 yards average of reception.
Okay, well, I just I feel like I should back up my too many weapons thing because a lot of people are going to go, well, it's a good problem to have. What are you talking about?
It is a good problem.
Well,
But
it's
again-
like, well, if you're sat, maybe you feel like you need to get this dude the ball. You need to get this dude the ball, and your offense might get a little out of sync because you feel like you need to do certain things.
But if
I'm
those
a
guys
big-
are that good, it doesn't matter.
I'm a big keep it simple, stupid guy.
I
So
get-
like,
yeah.
if I feel like I need to get him the ball and him the ball, keep him happy. He's kind of pissed. I got to get him. Maybe you start to muck it up and it gets a little
Yeah.
weird.
That's one thing. I guess, yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. I'm trying to reach here a little
I-
bit.
we
Yeah,
need to
I
remember-
like that you're reaching.
Yeah.
I'm reaching.
I think that given what Matt Rule said about modeling this offense, kind of like the 49ers, I think this is exactly what the 49ers have.
Mm.
And that's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. We just have to remember, Sat needs to remember, there's only one goal. All go end zone. That's it.
Yeah.
That I don't care who
Keep
does it.
15 upright.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of 15, if we want to reach a little bit more, let's reach just a little bit more. Okay.
I feel like I
True-
know where we're going.
True
here.
freshman quarterback. He looks good. He looks composed. I just need him to step into a few throws every once in a while.
Okay.
I feel like he airs the ball a little too long.
He uses his God-given gift, which is a laser rocket arm, and he
he-
knows he doesn't have to have. And this, I think that's what Matt Rule kind of talked about in the offseason was like Dylan had to work on his footwork.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes he kind of falls back onto what he's always done. And if you want to nitpick, go for it. But
He's
he's
al-
also completing 70+% of his passes.
Yeah, we
So-
talked about that earlier,
Yes.
people.
Yes.
He's been the most talented player on the field his whole life. He feels like he can rely on those God-given skills. You're going to be playing better teams. I just need you to step into a throw and that Jalen Lloyd thing, just fire it in there instead of just kind of. And he's not. I don't know if they're like back foot throws necessarily, but just step into one. That's all. That's all.
they're just not full power.
I'm not a quarterback expert by any means. I'm not Glenn Thomas. I'm not Patty Mahomes, but I just feel like he just needs to step in.
Glenn Thomas, if you want to talk about the Glenn Thomas effects, though, a little bit, Harburg looks different. Like, and it's
And
small
limited.
small
Limited.
sample size. He was in when you and I was even bringing their backups in. So small sample size. But I
Yeah.
just think mechanics, footwork looks better for Heinrich this year.
If he ever needs to come into a game, I think you feel a little bit better than you did with him for a large part of last year.
Yeah.
You know,
I think if I had to explain Harburg last season, the word I would use would be serviceable.
Yeah,
it's serviceable.
Yeah.
like if this was baseball, his WAR would have been probably 0.
Yeah.
Like he's just replacement level.
Yeah, he's good.
You know,
Hey, the crowd loved Harburg. They were even cheering for him.
Yeah.
oh, dude, people are going to imagine if he scored a tutty on
Yeah,
that drive.
they
Oh,
tried.
boy.
They've been trying.
Woo.
But yeah.
Crowd would have went nuts.
No incompletions for Harburg yesterday.
Mm.
Throwing motion looks like he knows how to throw a ball-ish now.
It's still a little wonky sidearm,
But it's
yeah,
better. It's better.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
When Dylan Raiola throws sidearm, it's like nice. But when he throws sidearm, it's like, oh,
It's just
Dylan Raiola will throw sidearm because he
It's not the
needs
same.
to. Harburg throws sidearm because he can't throw normally.
Because
he has to.
does. Because
Yeah.
he does.
I thought for sure when you brought up, an offensive trauma
Mm-hmm.
and you talked about Dylan, I could have sworn you were going to talk about the running. I assumed that's where you were going to go because we had
Oh.
this conversation last week about like learn to slide. And we had the conversation where I said, maybe some option reads here, or read options.
He did do that. He
Yeah.
did pull one, and
Yeah,
that was a
he
good
did.
thing.
Yeah. And
Didn't he run out of bounds, though? He ran out of bounds?
Yeah,
Yes.
he listened to you. He said, "Oh, I'm going
He
to
did.
protect myself."
He said,
But
Connor, while he's running. Connor.
on the flip side, though, I said in the stands, Jared, I'm like, he had so much more room to run. Why did he run out of bounds?
Yeah.
He had 10 more yards in front of him.
So he
Stay
heard me,
upright.
He heard me talking about read options, and he heard you guys like, please, dear God, just don't
take
get
care of
hit.
yourself,
Yeah.
right?
So he's like,
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'll just get the first down and run out of
The
bounds.
Cornhusker counseling guys, their heads are just floating above him. It's
the
all he
right and
hears.
wrong guy.
Yeah.
remember, they're not licensed. You do not need to listen to us. You don't have to.
No, that's not true. We went through a long, extraneous process to get these certifications to become Cornhusker counselors. It actually involved starting a podcast in 2020 under former head coach Scott Bleep and watching us lose and go 17-31 or 16-31. Sorry, I don't want to give him an extra win. 16-31 in 4 years. So that is our qualification for Cornhusker counseling.
Yeah.
Welcome to our show.
Hi.
I do love the fact that the Scott Bleep joke has carried over to an entirely separate show.
It's still it's our thing, guys. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you, that's our thing. People use it. People, like, when they talk to us, they'll even drop that in there.
When they talk to us, when they comment on our Facebook posts and stuff, and TikTok.
We did have some fan in the stadium say hi to us and dab us up.
No black, no rock, what up?
No block, no rock,
What's up, baby?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
He's like, I thought that was you guys. I'm like, who else has a ginger like this? Look
Oh
at this
my
guy.
God. Dude, I don't know. There's a lot more of us out there than I thought.
Somebody said in the chat, and I don't really know what this means, but he said, "Is that the bad friends ginger?" I'm like, what is that? mean?
Oh, that's Andrew
Santino.
Santino. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
you wish
okay.
you were as funny as Andrew Santino.
Yeah,
Yeah, you kind of look like him.
I mean,
Yeah, he's a ginger.
I've heard that, but Santino has like these brown eyes that kind of look kind of scary.
I'm colorblind.
Yeah,
That is true. You are colorblind.
I've gotten a lot of
Let's see others.
Carson Wentz. I get a lot. I get Carson Wentz a lot.
Big Red Bass.
Okay, Carson Wentz is insulting. You're a much better quarterback than Carson Wentz.
Looks wise.
Yeah, okay.
Big Red Bass said, "I'm glad that rule defrosted our team." Shout out, Big Red
Oh my
Bass.
God.
I'm trying to see what else we got. Trent said, and we'll get into this a lot tomorrow on No Block, No Rock. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow at 6:00. He said, "What is the biggest concern going into Illinois? Dylan playing a defense that has forced 7 turnovers, 5 of which have been interceptions."
Okay.
I think Dylan's going to have to be careful with the football. I think that's moving forward, though. You're playing better teams when you get into Big Ten play. Hey, and he knows that.
Another trauma.
Trauma.
This is something that you wanted to talk about. Was who knows what is happening with Micah Mazuka? Who knows?
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Not injury related, as far as we know. Seems off the field related. Is it a 1-game thing? Is
I
it
hope
a 9-game thing?
I talked to Sam Hahn this morning about this, and he said that at the end of the Colorado game, Latowski was playing. So I think he maybe got pulled against Colorado this week. Don't know.
So-
He obviously didn't play. Latowski started, but it's one of those things. I don't know if there's a huge drop off with the O-line, but I do think Mazuka is better than.
Yeah.
'Cause I think the interior that we have right now with Mazuka, Evans,
Ben.
and Ben Scott is really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I don't want Mazuka to be. I think
No.
he might be your best O lineman, maybe. Because look, that first half against Colorado, what did you notice? A lot of push.
Yes.
So I need that. I need that push, Mazuka. I don't know what your deal is, but
Figure it
let's
out.
figure this out.
I'm confused. If Mazuka was pulled in that second half against Colorado, my guess is it had to have been something that happened in that game.
Maybe.
In that game in the locker room at half,
Not
who
sure what he
knows?
did. Not sure what he did.
No, that's super confusing. But no, I
Yeah.
do agree with Trent's comment about biggest concerns for Illinois. That defense. That defense is a big concern.
Sure.
Short week is a concern.
Yeah.
I don't think that we got beat up too badly with UNI, so I don't think there's a whole lot of concern about recovery.
Yeah.
But it's still a short week is a short week.
Short week is a short week, but I will say that short week is more of a detriment to Illinois. They have to come on the road. We get to stay home for once. This is not.
Right.
This is a Friday game in Memorial Stadium under the lights. Like, I think we have a lot of advantages playing Illinois on a short week where they have to travel. They played a game on Saturday. They have to play the short week, get to Lincoln. Like, I think there's just more advantages for Nebraska being in Lincoln and being able to practice longer and stay here and not worry about all that stuff.
You know what's nice is Nebraska is actually playing a Big Ten team at home for their first conference game. I don't
weird.
think that's happened in a long time.
Been like 5 or 6 years, hasn't it?
Been a while.
Yeah.
We've
So
got about 5 minutes, guys.
it's weird that I don't want to whine because I hate whining, but maybe we got a favorable schedule
Maybe.
for once in a long time.
So actually, I'll touch on that in a second. But triumph for trauma, a third straight game under the lights. What do you guys think? Is that a triumph or is it a trauma because they're getting used to being under these lights and we're going to have to go back to some 11
It's a
a.m.
triumph.
stuff?
It's a triumph. I think the Colorado atmosphere was next level.
Of
Probably
course.
one of the best environments, if not the best I've ever been a part of. Obviously, I have my voice this week, so UNI was fine. But I think it goes back to you're having 2 ranked teams come to Memorial Stadium more than likely on Friday for the 400th consecutive sellout. That place is going to be honestly Colorado level electric, I think.
And look, people might complain about it being on a Friday night, but I think that adds to the novelty of it, and it will add to the atmosphere. Like it's not going to be a detriment because it has a different feeling. Okay, it's a Friday night. Nebraska is going to be probably in the top 20. Illinois is going to be in the top 25. And when I said top 20, I was saying that not very confidently, but I'm just saying 2 ranked teams coming in. There's going to be a different feel. Hope maybe the drones will work for this light show. Who knows? Yeah. Yes, it's going to be.
They were saving that. You know what they're going to do. It's going to be, you know how they did the national championship trophy, all that stuff. It's going to say 400 consecutive sellout.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the drones. Yeah. I already can see the drone show in my head.
I don't even care about the light show. Just, hey, fans, show up, be loud.
Be loud. Lose your voice.
Only lights I'm going to care about on Friday night are the ones on the scoreboard that tell me how many points we have.
Yeah.
Only lights I care about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned this just a little bit earlier. Again, we got about 4 minutes. Triumph or trauma. The Huskers do have somewhat of a fortunate schedule. Is that, as we just referred to with rankings, is that going to hurt us a little bit seeing these first 3-4 weeks? Not a great, I mean, the FPI is decent. I think we're 5th in the Big Ten in FPI right now.
No, it's going to help us because the teams ahead of us keep losing. That's the thing. Like, I mean, so we play these easier games, but
the only team ahead of us that really mattered that lost this week was number 20, Arizona. So I don't think we're going to get into that top 20, at least not after this last game. I think 21, 22, I could see.
Only one spot.
You're too focused on the rankings. What I'm worried about is that some of these teams that we are playing coming up, they look better than we initially thought.
Yeah. Indiana, no, I definitely agree.
Illinois looks better.
So, yeah.
One team.
Purdue does not look good.
Purdue, that's actually the one I was going to go to. Was,
we're going to that game.
We
hopefully.
talked about being concerned about Purdue, and I watched that this weekend, and I think I made it through the first half. And
you did?
Yeah,
wow.
And then I stopped caring about Purdue. But they were an original concern of mine.
Yeah.
Wisconsin looks not great. Tyler Van Dyke is done.
Seems
ACL.
that way. Yeah.
So I
Wisconsin looks beatable this year.
The 10-game streak might be over this year, which I am very, very excited about.
Yeah. So we got about 2 minutes. I think this is the time where we plug ourselves and remind people. We've got 283 people in here. Make sure you go follow us at NBNR Podcast. Make sure you go follow us tomorrow at 6 p.m. We're going to be doing a live show where we do a little bit more talk about UNI, but mainly covering the Illinois game in depth and detail. NBNRpodcast.com. We've got merch. We've got a blog called Red Zone Reflections, written by Coach Ben Audi.
Yep.
And
Emily Kading writes for us too. Shout out to her.
Eric Morrow wrote for us too. So I mean, we're starting to get some more writing and more content on board. If you're listening to us through the Herd at Sports Network, make sure you guys go subscribe to our YouTube, NBNR Podcast. Go look it up. We will be here in the Herd at Sports Bar in La Vista every day after the home games.
So Friday's the game. Are we here Saturday or are we here Sunday?
We are here Saturday, according to our producer. So we'll be here Saturday at 11 o'clock. So make sure you guys come in here, listen to us, and then we go and we watch college football together. Sounds like a fun day.
Hopefully we'll see you Saturday, and we're not so focused on nitpicky traumas. We could talk more triumphs.
I'm all about it.
Okay. What do we say we wrap up? I don't really know how.
Let's do it. Sign off.
Yeah.
I'm one of your hosts, Jared Hall.
Mike Delaware.
And Connor Kavalak.
As always, beat Illinois and GBR.